Welcome back to the channel. What an amazing day I'm having. My brother JC invited me down to spend some time at his compound with two of his cars in his fleet, which are Ferraris, which all of you know I love Ferraris. And the crazy thing is, the first car that he wanted me to check out is his amazing 550. The 550 to me is just like a true Ferrari classic, and I'm sure you can hear it in the background. His is a manual transmission, and I just don't know if there's anything better than a V12, whether that be Ferrari or Lamborghini. But for those of you that don't know the man sitting next to me, for one, when I grow up, I aspire to be like him because he is ultimately successful and just everything is done right in his life versus everything being done wrong in my life. But many of you will remember that there was a while ago that I used to race this drag car that looked like an NSX. And for those of you that keep commenting saying that I destroyed the NSX, to clarify, that was never an NSX. It was built from NSX parts, but it was a ground up car. But that car only came about because of this man. He's truly the genius who taught me how to build piston engines, and nonetheless the NSX engine, which at the time was one of a kind. So my friend, as we cruise along here in this amazing neighborhood with horses and all sorts of nice people that I'm typically not used to seeing so up close, please tell us about your amazing 550.
Well, I've always wanted a Ferrari, and I got it. Unfortunately, I had to sacrifice my NSX to get it because I wasn't exactly in the financial position I'm in now.
And that's where he may really be able to provide some insight to some of you that are thinking of changing from, let's say, the NSX. Now, JC is a huge proponent of the first generation NSX.
Still love it.
Now, the deal is, though, is that in his nature, he just can't leave anything alone. A lot of people comment that I can't leave anything alone. He is 10 times worse than me. I'm gonna let him give his own rundown of what he did to his NSX.
Well, so yeah, I had a 93 NSX, and I love it. I gotta tell you, it's still probably one of the best cars I have ever put my butt in and driven. You get in it, and you feel like you're at home. The car, it's like a glove. You just put it on and drive it, and it is perfection. So, you know, my nature is 270 horsepower wasn't good enough. Then we were doing a drag race program back in the day with Steph. And we had a lot of NSX engines for both Adam's cars, for our cars. And so I took one of our race motors and put it in the NSX. So the race engines at their peak were making about 1,800 horsepower. I detuned about 1,000 horsepower out of it, and that's what I had. I know when Mitch Peterson did the dyno work on it, we made about 760 at the wheels.
Only 760 out of a car that weighs about 3,000 pounds.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a blast. You would nail the throttle in that thing and get dizzy from how quick you were going. I can't imagine what a top fuel driver feels like, because that thing would just wake you up when you got on the throttle. It was perfection. So I loved it.
And luckily for all of us, he took photos and documented what he did, so you're able to take a look of the process. I mean, it was quite extensive. Now remember, I mean, JC's the man. He could do this stuff in his sleep. The car was just crazy. But the craziest part to me was, after he had all that, the next thing I know, I get a phone call that, bro, I'm thinking of letting the NSX go and getting a Ferrari. Now, to give a quick background on JC, he is true Ferrari, follows F1, loves Ferrari. Even when he'll call me these days and say, hey man, I'm thinking of maybe looking at a Mac or a Lambo, I know that that won't happen. He's just gonna end up buying another Ferrari. But what actually made you decide to move from the NSX?
You're right. I've always, since childhood, I've always wanted a Ferrari. Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story. My first exotic was a Lamborghini, because I always wanted a Lamborghini. I was one of those guys that had the picture of the Countach on the bedroom wall with the blonde on it over the hood and all that. and I really wanted that. And I guess, but I got a Lamborghini Halpa. That's probably not the best representation of Lamborghini, but I liked it. So back then, it was like, okay, a Lamborghini made 255 horsepower, and a 308 back then only made 200. So I'm like, well, I want the more horsepower. So I got that. Sadly, that car wasn't what it cracked up to be. Ferrari started getting better and better. I've always wanted one. So the 550, I was looking at Z06 Corvettes initially. I was hard set on getting a Z06. I took my now fiance, but girlfriend at the time, to go look at Corvettes, and she's like, oh, that's kind of nice. I like it. And my buddy Steve Tillak at Fast Cars and I were talking, and he goes, you've always wanted a Ferrari, and I got a 550 for you. And we pulled up to the garage, and there's this car with the nose. He staged it perfectly. This car with the nose sticking out the garage, and she hits me and goes, you idiot, get the Ferrari. She was right. I hate to admit it, but she was damn right. It was the better choice.
If you want, don't worry, I can edit that out, that she was actually right. Because I know how painful it is to admit that any female in our lives are actually right at any given time.
I'll make sure she doesn't see this, don't worry.
Very good.
So yeah, and so we picked it up, and I've driven the pants off of this thing. I used to kind of hoon it around in the back parking lot at 8 a.m. through lots of sets of tires.
Yes, I remember you calling me, looking for tires multiple times.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, 56,000 miles of pure fun. So when we get to F8, by the way, we're going that way, and
Excellent.
That is psychotic road. But now we'll take it easier.
Very good. I mean, but ultimately the question is, was it a good decision? Are you glad you sold the NSX to get this?
It's love-hate. It truly is, because the NSX was perfection. It was sterile. It was Honda reliability, and a Honda, God, they're about as good as it gets. So
wait, you're saying that your AC didn't fail every summer in the NSX?
Nothing failed in the NSX. Nothing at all. It was almost like not an adventure. I'd get in the NSX, and I know damn well I was going to get to where I was going. 550 Ferrari, let's see. I've replaced the clutch, broken a wheel. Key fob left me stranded, which you famously got me out of because I was going to have it towed home. And
From Sonoma.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're in Marietta, by the way.
Oh my God, that was ridiculous. I was just getting the trailer sent up, and Adam called me just in time. And a friend of mine that was coming up to collect the car that was dead was just getting on the freeway, and he just had to make the next ramp and go home. Thank God. And it was just a battery and a key fob. And you got me on Ferrari chat. I mean, you caught it and said, hey, don't do this. Go fix it. So, yeah. So, yeah, it's an adventure. This thing is just an adventure. Every time you take it out, you got to kind of pray. I don't like that in a car. Right now, she's perfect. My love-hate relationship is love at the moment. I'm sure it'll be hate sometime soon again. Nice. But right now, look at this. We're in this incredible country road, enjoying a hell of a GT.
Oh, most definitely. It does not get any better than this.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I feel like you didn't answer my question.
Well,
would you do it the same way again, given the opportunity? Or are you thinking of even acquiring an NSX again, since you love the car so much?
I would, if I get an NSX again, I have two other cars I got to finish up first. So I got priorities, I got to get them done. If I got another NSX, and it certainly is a toss-up because the new one is...
No, specifically the first gen, since that was the one that you let go.
That is what I would
do.
That is what I would do. I truly would. I love the new one. I think it's bitchin', the Type S, like you're going to get. The new one's bitchin', but I have a real love affair with that old one. And if I could replicate that engine was a dual fuel motor, so it ran on methanol and gasoline. So as you drive along, like we're driving along normal here, not under boost, it'd run on gasoline. And then as we got on the throttle, it would switch the engine over and it would run methanol instead of gasoline. So I could have an 11-to-1 motor and still have 20 pounds of boost and have the throttle response that I want It was a fantastic car. You'll see in some of the pictures, there's a picture of the methanol tank in the front of the car. It's only while under boost. People said, well, aren't you going to run out real fast? It's only 5 gallons of methanol. It's like, if I burn 5 gallons of methanol in one pull, I'll be orbiting a planet by the time I'm done. So, yeah, I would. Would I get rid of this and get the NSX? No, but now I could have both.
Excellent.
I would definitely do both.
See, that's real success. Unlike me,
oh yeah,
just barely hanging on. You got the man right here.
Says the man with a barn full of exotic cars.
I'm sorry, I can't recall.
I'm just a poor white boy with 2 Ferraris. That's it.
Jeez, man. Well, there you have it, my friends. Hanging out with my bud here. It doesn't get any better than this in paradise. And I guess the moral of the story is that what I'm reading through it is that he is still happy with the 550. Everything that comes with Ferrari ownership to him is worth it. Will he get a first-gen NSX in the future? Well, it's very possible, but I guess we're just going to have to hang out and see what happens.
But I love this car. It is the ultimate cruiser. If you want to go places, this is a car to take. I've got 56,000 miles on it.
I'm sorry, can we just repeat that one more time? Because all of us that have these type of cars, typically if we hit like the 15,000 mark, we're in fear of the car falling apart. But this is a real man. How many miles again, brother?
56,000. And those in the Ferrari world say it's used up at that point. My God, if that's used up, then a Toyota or a Honda is golden, because that's just break-in for them. You know.
Well, I can say as we ride along here on this road, which isn't the smoothest road, but it is definitely a fun road, I don't hear any interior noise, no creaks and rattles, indications that the car even has near that many miles. But then again, we are riding with the man, and he takes ultimate care of his cars. Kind of makes me look like a slob, in essence.
Oh, yeah, right. I think not. You know, buying the car is one thing. Maintaining it, that's a whole nother battle you've got to go through. That was a hell of a bump, wasn't it?
That was a bump, and again, the compliancy was amazing. Now, if we were in one of my cars, it'd feel like we were going to basically hop and slide off the road, where this thing just absorbed it. We're continuing on, and this is why really the 550 is so amazing, because it's a true GT car. We're cruising along here. It just doesn't get any better than this, but as JC describes the 550, I will say that many of you know I don't like heat, and it is freaking blazing hot out here. But luckily, the 550's AC is stone cold. But there's kind of a story behind the AC on this car, right?
It's been kind of the bane of my existence in a way, because the air conditioning every summer has failed, and I have to get it fixed every summer. And it's not the same thing. It's something down the line. It's like playing whack-a-mole with air conditioning. And so I don't know what next summer holds in place for me. Probably a new condenser or something like that. But I'm very certain that the air conditioning is going to fail next summer again. But right now, I'm enjoying the hell out of it, because this car is dead flawless. It's such a perfect car for long distance trips.
Now, for those of you that are thinking about getting into Ferraris or Lambos, just take a quick note of the fact that he said every summer when it's blazing hot, the AC fails. That's kind of like an Italian car thing. Normal cars don't pick when they fail, but Italian cars have this tendency to, I don't know, have failures at the worst possible time on the planet. Am I correct, my friend?
That is the way they extract their pound of flesh from you every time. You know, every time they want to get in your pants and take a piece out of you. And yeah, that'll do it.
Just something to keep in mind. So if you're going to get one, you're going to take off, it's probably going to happen at the most unopportune time.
That's true. That is, honestly, I've gotten in this car, been in the middle of a trip, cruising around, just going, oh, it's so good. And I'll stop and go in, maybe get a bite to eat at a restaurant, hop back in the car, get in it, there's no air conditioning. I'm like, you son of a bitch, what now? And back to fast cars. Guys, where's the next problem? You know, there's that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the car. I flat love it. I'll put up with this crap all day long, because right now it's so enjoyable to drive. I mean, I've taken on long distance trips. We sponsored Sterling Moss at a Concorso in New Mexico once, and I drove it to Santa Fe, New Mexico, And then we were staying in a hacienda, which is a dirt road, and I drove it on a dirt road to the hacienda. You know, we hooked up with Sterling and Denise McCluggage and had a blast and drove it back. And people were like, "Are you crazy? You putting that many miles?"
Yes, you're crazy. You are crazy, brother. I love you, but you are crazy. There's no question about it.
I didn't buy it to sit in the garage. I bought it to take it out and beat it like a rented donkey.
Very good. Excellent. So, as we all talked about, V12, of course, that is the strongest attribute that I love. Give us a rundown. Have you done anything to it?
Only thing on this car is it has a Borla exhaust on it, and that's it. And when I bought it, it had that Borla. Apparently, this was the car that Borla used to prototype the exhaust. And what I'm appreciative of is that they didn't make it really, really loud and blatty. Because, again, this is a GT car, so when you take it on long trips, you know, I take this on 1,000-mile trips, and to go 1,000 miles listening to something beating your eardrums silly, you're gonna be in a pretty bad mood by the time you get there.
I'm sorry, guys, that's age speaking. You know,
it is.
The younger people like to hear that sound, no stereo, sound of the engine for miles and miles. But us being a bit older, we're a little bit more decisive about what we desire, correct?
That is correct. There's a double-edged sword. You're right, and I do like the personality of kind of a loud car. My other cars are going to fill that void for me. Again, this is a cruiser to just have fun with and go long distances and stuff, but I get it. You know what? I was with Chip Foose once when I was doing my Studebaker, and I was going to paint it a kind of a gray color. And he's like, "Are you crazy? You didn't build this thing to blend in with everyone else, did you?" Ferraris are kind of like that too. I mean, it's obviously a resale red, and so it's out there. So I guess it's kind of a dichotomy of, do I want loud or do I want to just cruise in comfort? You young guys can go tear the road up and just have a blast, you know?
Well, here's the deal. This car was JC's first Ferrari, and I still love this car. It looks amazing today. I mean, he takes such great care of it, and you can just hear it doesn't miss a beat. Flying through the back roads with him, it doesn't get any better. And one thing that's really cool about the 550 is it feels like we are flying. I mean, a lot of the newer cars, the problem is you gotta go so fast to feel like you're going fast. That's one thing I really like about this car. Well, this has just been like a dream come true. Hanging out with my brother here in paradise in the 550. I guess the only thing that is a detriment to me is it's a bit toasty, but you know, I mean, other than that, it's a close second to being the perfect day. And it is just a blast. So other than that, so he can let it rip, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I hope all of you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Adam, thanks. What a great day.
For sure, brother. Anytime.
Sit. Sit. Bella, sit. Sit. Nope. Bella, sit. She's very obedient.